Whole new ball game is right. The AFC East has been thrown into utter chaos thanks to the injury to Aaron Rodgers. Now, you're a Patriots fan, but you're also a football fan, so you have a little bit of humanity. So that jumble of conflicting sentiments you've got going on is understandable. Your team's road to success just got a little less bumpy. Yay! But you wanted very much to see how the Aaron Rodgers experience would play out in New York. That's not going to happen. Boo! And an all-time great is on ice, and that sucks. Now we're watching an NFL without Rodgers or Tom Brady. It's a little bit jarring. And when we get to the GOAT discussion, always remember and never forget the insane and incomprehensible level of durability that Tom Brady showed compared to the other guys up on that list of the all-time greats. All right, let's hit the game plan. Get me rewrite. We are going to go over all the ramifications of the Rodgers injury. One in the MV column, that stands for moral victory. Mac's mixed bag. Phil, with a very good perspective on how Mac did the other day. And finally, inside the numbers, we'll bring in Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus to talk about some of the guys who really lit it up for the Patriots and what Miami can do. But first, we bring in the Senator Phil Perry. Phil, thank you so much for joining. Your reaction to the Rodgers injury?
Devastation. It's over for the Jets. It's done. Especially now you have head coach Robert Saleh pledging his allegiance to Zach Wilson? Really? Huh, Tom? How can you go through this season with Zach Wilson as your starting quarterback? He was so adamant about it. Why don't you go get yourself a Gardner Minshew or a Cooper Rush or, I don't know, even a Case Keenum? Be better than Zach Wilson, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he dove in with both feet. Jumped in with both feet, dove in with both hands. He's all in on Zach Wilson. We'll see what kind of song he's singing in a couple weeks if the kid does not get any better. Time now for Quickfire. It's presented by your local New England Honda dealers. Here is Robert Saleh talking about the Aaron Rodgers injury.
The part of the game, you got to go. I've said it before, no one really cares at the end of the day. And, I think, from a locker room standpoint, just the group of guys that we have, like I said, the resilience, no one was fazed. And the way we came out in the second half on a mission, just picked ourselves up off the ground and defense just getting stop after stop. Offense came out, bam, right off the bat, get 3 points. The big turnover that resulted in the touchdown to Garrett. Just proud of the gritty. It was a gritty performance. Proud of the guys.
All right, so it really was in kind of a slop fest. The Jets survive. What's the local impact, though, Phil? What does the Patriots take away from this?
This, in my opinion, really clears their path to a potential playoff spot. I had them before the season splitting their series with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Now I'm giving them 2 wins against the Jets. That, for me, would make them a 10-win team. I know you've thought all along that they would be a 10-win team. I don't know, maybe you think now they're an 11-win team. But this opens up the possibility, and it makes it more realistic. Not that it wasn't possible before, but it makes it more realistic that they grab one of those wild card spots. Who even knows what happens with the Bills moving forward, Tom? This clears the path for them playing into January, in my opinion.
Speaking of the Bills, check this out, will you? This is Mac against Josh Allen over the last 10 regular season games. Check mark, near check mark, not a check mark, but passer rating and picks, we know that Josh Allen doesn't take care of the ball as well as other guys, but you've got to be able to make an impact positively if you're going to be that loose with it. He isn't. What about the Bills? Are they in retreat mode?
Boy, it looked like it last night. I know that Jets defense is good, Tom, but are they that good to make Josh Allen look that bad? And I know 10 games is a relatively small sample size. We've seen Josh Allen be a very, very special quarterback, somebody who can absolutely take over a game at the drop of a hat. But when you're playing the way that he's been playing under Ken Dorsey since Brian Daboll, former offensive coordinator there in Buffalo, now head coach in New York for the Giants, since that transition has happened, he hasn't looked like the same guy consistently. So it's a question of, can he find his footing under this newer staff?
And it's an extended period of time that he's been playing like this. This isn't, 2 weeks good, 1 bad. It's going on now, however many games, 10 at least, where he's played inefficiently. And to me, I wonder how much buy-in he has to Ken Dorsey, or does he think, I've kind of got it all figured out, I don't really need this guy. The fundamentals are atrocious. Meanwhile, check this out. The Pro Football Talk Power Rankings, everybody does them. These are the ones that our guy Mike Florio has. He's got the Dolphins at 2. He's got the Jets at 4. Patriots lagging down there all the way. Where the hell are they, 22, I thought, or something like that?
This is preseason, before the regular season started?
There's week 2, babe.
The Jets at 4 with no, what?
What am I supposed to tell you? The Dolphins are at 2.
Get Florio on the horn right now.
Get him on the blower. We can't do that. But to me, it's interesting when you look at the teams that lost. Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Giants, Steelers, Eagles. Either lost or were unimpressive in their openers. Are we going to go through one of those seasons, Phil, where black is white, white is black, up is down?
I don't think so. I think some of these teams just need a little bit of time. So many teams have now shifted to where they're not doing anything in the preseason, Tom. It's not just the Patriots that are benching their starters for the vast majority of these preseason games or not doing as much contact as we're used to seeing in practices. It's happening all over the league. I think it's leading to some slow starts. Teams like the Bengals with Joe Burrow, all that talent they have offensively, they've been in some big games. They're going to figure it out. They're not going to be the team we saw in Cleveland week 1. I feel the same way about a lot of the teams on that list.
I like Cleveland. I said it before. I'll say it again. I like the Browns. Meanwhile, if you like speed, you're going to have a chance to watch some at Gillette Stadium this week because Tyreek Hill's coming to town, 215 yards. Here's how the Cheetah feels about this past weekend's performance.
Everything was more fluid this year because last year, man, I was just banking on my speed and just banking on me just outrunning guys. But this year, I was in my bag a little bit more on release moves and just, routes at the top and stuff like that. That's how I was able to get my first catch. I had a dagger. Last year, we ran the same exact route, and I wasn't open. But this year, it's like a whole lot different.
Cheetahs sometimes win, Phil. That was me. Do you think that the Patriots are going to be able to dust off the same game plan that they've used against Tyreek Hill and have the same success? Or is he next level right now?
Boy, he's next level in terms of the speed. What's remarkable is the guy's been in the league for a while now. I think he's in his 8th season, and he still looks like the fastest man in the NFL. I do believe that the Patriots have a formula, and it's not all that complicated. Put another really, really fast guy on him, John Jones, maybe Marcus Jones, sees a little time on Tyreek Hill, and plenty of help. Make sure you have somebody that's deeper than the deepest. And don't let the guy go off for 200 yards. Is that too much to ask, Tom? Week 1 of the regular season? I know it's tough. I know you're trying to figure things out. 200 yards? Can we figure something out there, Brandon Staley in L.A.?
Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen to you. It has to be a Jalen Waddle day. Meanwhile, now it is time for From the Stands. Poll results are presented by Shaw's. They have been perfecting the art of fresh ever since I was a kid. How has your opinion of the Patriots' chances changed after week 1? Ain't no stopping now. That wasn't very good. 21.8%, 65%, a little better, not much. 13% are holdouts. They're still not buying despite all the ramifications of the Rodgers injury. We have 3 comments. First up is Michael. You have a QB who can't win from behind. 0-11 when the Patriots go down 10-plus points. And he's a front runner. We can play every game from ahead. We have a shot. If not, minimal to no difference. Mac's biggest weaknesses, mental toughness, nervous energy, and arm strength. I'll give you the last one. I definitely will. Kenty Spurs. Initially, I predicted us to achieve an 8-9 record following the Eagles game. I have revised my expectations upwards to a 9-8 record.
Okay, Ken.
And finally, Ryan, let's see them against the Dolphins. They win that, maybe, just maybe, we can revisit the ceiling of this team. Phil, when you combine everything we saw on Sunday and also the things that happened around the AFC and in the division, I don't understand how you can't be a little more buoyed about the Patriots' chances than some of the people were last week.
Well, and I understand people not wanting to overreact to week 1. I think that is completely logical. And I would look at the Patriots in terms of the talent that they have around Mac Jones. And you hear about, well, where are the winning plays from Mac Jones? I don't know. He hit Kendrick Bourne over the middle on 3rd and 12, hit him right in the hands. He couldn't come up with it. He hit Kayshon Boutte along the sideline on 4th. Like, those are winning plays, but it takes 2 to tango, if you will. And so he needs the help. I think the defense, Tom, is going to be so good. They're going to be in a lot of these games as long as they get the coaching and they clean up some of the self-inflicted errors. They're going to be a competitive team all year.
They better be more than competitive, bruh.
Super Bowl, Tom? You had him at 10 wins before the Aaron Rodgers injury. Where you got him now?
That's highly competitive, 10 wins. Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
11?
We'll talk about it after.
12?
When we get home. Tom Giles will have the latest from Foxborough as the Patriots get ready to host the Dolphins in Sunday Night Football. The game plan is presented by your local New England Honda dealers. Coming up after the break, We're going to nerd out with our guy, Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus, breaking it on down. Growth Potential, brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti. Look younger, feel younger, get your hair back with Leonard Hair Transplant Associates. Check this out, folks. I know you keep track. Moral victories since 2020. I tallied them up today. There's a number of them. 2022, you had the Ravens and the Packers with Bailey Zappi. That was all right. And I didn't hate, I thought there was a lot of good stuff around the Vikings game. I thought that might have helped to spur the Patriots on. 2021, you had, of course, the one against the Bucs. That was a loss, but a win. And then 2021 also against the Cowboys. That was a loss, but kind of a win. 2020 with Cam, you had the Seahawks loss win, and then the 2020 loss to the Bills, 24-21. But that was kind of a win. Meanwhile, it's time now for my slant. Watch out! And in light of that, I understand the eye rolling when we send up a big hand for the great job, good effort. That's 7 moral victories I just tallied up in the past 3 years. And where'd that get them? The kids are sick of it. David Andrews?
What did you learn about the team from this week?
Yeah, look, there's no moral victories. There's no, really no moral victories in life or anything like that.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to interject here. These guys are acting like moral victories are Sasquatch or the Loch Ness Monster, not real in any way. Of course, these guys also believed in the boogeymen in 2019, and it turned out they weren't real either, as Lamar Jackson ran through them for 37 points the week after they started calling themselves the boogeymen. But I'm here to say that, yes, Virginia, there are moral victories. There are games in which a team winds up with fewer points, but a whole lot of wins inside the game on which to build. There are losses that say, I think we're onto something there. This team is not who we thought they were. I saw it in 1996. You know that? I know I'm going back, but that's all right. Patriots went to Dallas and they lost 12-6. They wound up in the Super Bowl that year. I saw it again in 2001 when the Rams came into Foxborough Stadium for a regular season game. They beat the Patriots. And then in the Super Bowl, the Patriots beat the Rams because those were catalyst games. Going toe-to-toe, in my estimation, with the Eagles, holding them to 1 offensive touchdown on a 20-yard drive, scoring 3 touchdowns, which last year's Patriots did almost never. You're onto something. You do not want to dig a 16-0 hole. We all get that. But don't ignore the ensuing 48 minutes either. Honestly, I believe that the same people saying that there are no moral victories and puffing their chests are largely the same ones who breathed life into the Bailey Zappi dream and the same ones who were telling you in 2019 Tom Brady didn't have it anymore. Father, forgive them. They know not what they are looking at. All right, notable rookies, according to Pro Football Focus, from Sunday's game. There's a lot of them, and a lot of them did a pretty good job. Keon White leading the way, the second-round pick. Marte Mapu, really a nice addition. Speed-wise, and Christian Gonzalez, he had those big plays, but he was not your number 1 rated guy, and that's a good sign. Let's bring in now Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus to bat this around a little bit. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks for having me again, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Were you surprised by the Patriots' performance on Sunday against the Eagles?
I mean, yeah, especially after that terrible start. I was pleasantly surprised by how well they played defensively. I think we knew their defense would be good, but remember last year they were good, but against the Zach Wilson teams, and they were not always good against the best offenses. So I was impressed by how they stopped the run, how they were physical up front, and I think they were as advertised defensively. They made life very difficult for an Eagles offense that had different ways to win all last year. They could throw to their awesome receivers. They could run the ball. They could use Jalen Hurts in the run game, and the Patriots pretty much shut it all down. Yeah, I was gobsmacked, especially by the defense. I expected offensive improvement. It kind of looked how I thought ideally it would look. But I thought defensively against the best offensive line in the league and one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, if not the best, and Jalen Hurts and the talent and skill that he has in multiple ways, I thought it was going to be maybe an exposure Sunday. No exposure. Who were some of the top performers for the Patriots, Steve? Yeah, our top guy was Christian Barmore on the defensive line. I mean, if you look at what he did the last 2 games last season and then carry it into this game, he's a top 3 defensive tackle. It's a 3-game sample, but Christian Barmore, he was like my favorite defensive tackle coming out a few years ago. I thought he was a top 10 caliber player. Patriots get him much later than that. So I think he's finally starting to live up to the hype, played with great power as a pass rusher. and from a run defense standpoint. Jabril Peppers, of course, had that huge forced fumble. He made a lot of plays in and around the line of scrimmage. And then rookie Keon White on the defensive side, rushing the passer against Lane Johnson, one of the best right tackles in the NFL, had a lot of success there. So I was impressed with those three guys defensively. I thought overall Mac Jones played well. I know there were some missing plays there in the arm strength thing that you mentioned. I think he's leaving a little bit on the table there, but overall I thought Mac Jones played well, especially given all the pressure that he was under.
Flip it to the other side. Who are some of the guys that were a little bit down on the Pro Football Focus grade level?
Yeah, it's both guards. The rookies, man. Sidiso and Antonio Mafi, they both got beat up by Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis. Very difficult assignment to start in the NFL, but you could see it. And this is why I'm a little bit higher on Mac Jones and his entire performance, because the pressure was coming quick. I mean, there was a play where Jalen Carter was on him in about a second and he completed a pass, right? So I thought the pressure from the middle was a huge factor. It did lead to some negative plays. So the guards struggled. And then Kayshon Boutte, of course, with, a couple plays around the sideline, not being able to keep his feet in, which is frustrating because that's what he did well at LSU. He was like a magician along the sideline, but I think he was still playing college rules on Sunday.
I know. He got pushed in the back. You got to get your feet down, but he did get a nudge that screwed him up. Meanwhile, who were some of the Eagles performers who ended up a little bit on the downside thanks to the Patriots defense, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, he had one of his worst grades from over the last 2 years. He put the ball in harm's way a couple times as a passer, but of course the fumble late was gonna really crush him. It was, look, from a Patriots perspective, it was a good defensive performance. From an Eagles offensive perspective, were they a little too conservative? Were they lethargic? They used to last year sleepwalk through some games. They'd get up early and then sleepwalk through the second half. I felt a little bit of that from Philadelphia. So I thought their entire offense, the offensive line, underwhelmed compared to what they've been. And then Jalen Hurts did not play nearly as well as he did all last season.
I'm going to veer here, and I'm going to ask you a question because I was on a podcast with Omar Kelly, our friend who covers the Dolphins, and he asked me a question about Mac Jones, and I said, I actually think that Mac Jones is probably better than Tua. At least he's more accurate. What's your take on that?
I don't know if I'm ready to go there. I thought after the first 2 years, I had some serious questions about Tua, and now here's the most difficult part about NFL analysis. How do you separate Tua's success from Mike McDaniel, from Tyreek Hill, in the additions that the Dolphins have made? It's very difficult. But if you look at the throws Tua made, we're talking crunch time, 3rd and long, step up in the pocket and put the ball in a perfect spot for Tyreek Hill, who's going to be wide open all the time. But Tua is getting the ball to him. So I think Tua's got the edge right now. There's a little something missing with Mac Jones,
I
right?
agree.
There's a little something missing. The sack late, the
Who do you
RPMs
think's
on
more
the ball
accurate?
just to get
I
it
want to.
quicker.
Who's more accurate? Because I think Jones is more accurate.
I think you could give Mac Jones the accuracy thing. I do think Tony Romo was hinting at it in the broadcast. I don't know if you could catch any of that, but the ball's just not getting there quickly enough. It's not his fault that some of the guys aren't, keeping their feet in or whatever, but it's just some of the plays are too bang bang. When I know, the old guy Brady used to have the, high RPMs. He'd get that ball with some zip. So that's like the thing I think is missing with Mac Jones. The accuracy itself, especially under pressure, his chuck and duck, man, he actually makes it work sometimes. I'm impressed with Jones and his accuracy.
Yeah, it's funny. And you know what? As a former professional pitcher yourself, you're big on RPMs. I look at that Kayshon Boutte on sideline play. I look at the Juju Smith-Schuster or the Hunter Henry drop, and I say, if the ball's coming faster, it's actually easier to catch and catches you before you get out of bounds. Steve, I got to jump here. But that was great stuff. Really enjoyed it. Always glad to have you on, and we will have you again soon. Meanwhile, we're going to do a little sound judgment in the final block, get some sound and react to it. That's how that works. Coming up at 6:30, tune in for our Bella Early Edition with Trenny Casey. Will have much more on the Patriots after their loss to the Eagles in the season opener and the Aaron Rodgers injury. Meanwhile, here's Josh Allen after last night's surprising Bills loss.
Yeah, trying to force the ball. Yeah, same place, different day. I hurt our team tonight. I cost our team tonight. And it feels eerily similar to last year, and I hate that it's the same. I do.
What are we doing? I mean, all you have to do, the guy gets hurt. He's done for the year. The air has gone out of the stadium. All you got to do is hands at 10-2, drive your very nice offense around, score 17 points, Go back to Western New York. It's not that hard. I don't understand why he has to channel Brett Favre, but he is. And I just don't think it's going to work. Meanwhile, here's Nick Sirianni talking about the Patriots defense on Sunday.
They tried to stay in front of everything, and they did a good job of doing so, whether that was by changing the coverages or just by playing soft zones and getting underneath our receivers' routes and forcing us to check the ball down underneath. We've been a team that's been high in the NFL in explosive plays the last 2 years, and hats off to them that they limited us, and by our count, to I think 3 or 4.
Patriots went against two of the best wide receivers in football last Sunday. They'll see another duo quite like them this Sunday with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Don't be surprised, I just included that so you can have an understanding of what the Patriots employed last week on A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Meanwhile, Phil Perry asked Patriots receivers coach Ross Douglas whether or not Juju ran the wrong route on the failed 4th and 3 call last week.
Was it the right thing by how it was? Yes, but could it have been better? Absolutely. So, yes, he did the right thing. Could it have been better to where it could have been more advantageous for us on offense? Absolutely. So, it's a thing we watched over. We had a good conversation about it, and we know what we have to do moving forward.
I got a feeling Ross Douglas is going to get a tiny little Post-it note. See, Bill. Yeah, they don't need all that intel. But it's good to know because it could have been better. And if you watch that play, as Phil did, it appeared that there was a pivot off of the Juju route because he kind of went into leverage, and then the flip over to Ezekiel, which just didn't work. No Jacoby Myers, not yet. Can anybody be a Jacoby Myers, though? He was good. He was good. All right, stay tuned for Trenny. We got the Patriots Talk podcast out, too. Phil and I kick everything around, so enjoy that on your favorite podcasting app. See you in a minute.